Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Culture War Podcast. I am Tim Pool. We got a really fun subject for you today. And the question is Donald Trump the Antichrist? Or, I don't know, some kind of demonic figure. Recently, Alex Jones was speculating, and he had a really funny statement where he was like, if it turns out it's true, I was tricked into it, or something like that. But there's also questions Alex brings up, is Elon Musk the Antichrist? I'm not so convinced that either of them are, or there even will be one, but a lot of people think there may be. And so considering the speculation, we've brought in several individuals who have speculated greatly and even tracked greatly signs, symbols, and scripture which suggest, yes, Donald Trump may be the Antichrist. Let's start with you over here, Sovereign Bra. Do you want to introduce yourself, and we'll just go around the room?
Yeah, what's up? Where should I look? Should I look into any?
You can look whatever you want. You can look at the ceiling if you want.
Yeah, what's up? My name is Chase. You guys might know me from the Whatever podcast. I connected with Donnie Darkened and Drew Tang over Twitter last year. Some of my boys sent me some of Donnie's stuff, and they were like, dude, this guy's posting some really interesting stuff about Trump. I saw his thesis that Trump was the Antichrist, and initially I was like, all right, dude, like this is ridiculous. And then my friends kept sending me more stuff, and I was like, this could be worth looking into. So I started hosting some spaces with him and heard out his theory. Then we looped in Drew Tang.
We had you on, that was a while ago, it was like earlier in the year.
Yeah, March.
And you mentioned this and told me to look up this account.
Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit. So here we are.
Yeah.
And yeah. For everybody who is watching, we are going to conceal the identity of Donnie Darkened. So you will not be able to see his face, but we will use an animated avatar that is from the X account. So that's what we'll represent the individual. But why don't we keep going?
Hey guys, I'm Drew on Twitter at Drew Tang Reborn. And yeah, Chase had hit us up back in the day, me and Donnie, to do a space regarding Trump and Elon and the idea of them being associated with the end times. And at the time, Chase only had like 2,000 followers, so I thought he was just a clout chaser trying to hit me up for some followers. But no, it was amazing space, and it's crazy that it's manifested into this. And we got a lot of great information for you. I think it's very original and stuff that hasn't really been covered in the independent media sphere very much at all. So, and these two figures, Trump and Musk, obviously seem to be the best figures as far as being opposed to the establishment. So we're just going to give some cautionary advice, and it's going to be fun.
Right on. And of course,
hi, I'm Donnie Darkened. I'm appearing as an avatar right now, which is
of an evil Donald Trump with glowing red eyes.
So it's a little creepy, but I just want to say thank you for having me on. I'm very grateful to be on this platform, able to spread this message. I don't think that the things that we're going to get into have ever been discussed on such a large platform like this. So I'm just, again, very grateful to be on here.
I wonder how many Democrats are going to start sharing it like crazy. Like, this is it. This is everybody. We got him. Here's the video of Alex Jones.
But now he's transcended just being about positivity into something messianic, which I mean, if you get a snapshot of Trump, he's a dark person, but also, look, if anybody can be the Antichrist, and I don't think he's the Antichrist, but he's the type of person, also Elon Musk. I mean, there's some definite dark energy around Trump, and I know if I was ever controlled opposition, it was unwittingly being sucked into it. And I think the jury's out on Trump, but they are definitely scared of him. So, but
it kind of sounds like Alex Jones in this clip. I know it's only 39 seconds. It sounds like he really does think there's a possibility Trump is the Antichrist, but particularly when he says, if I ever was controlled opposition, it was unwittingly, as if to suggest there is a possibility at some point Donald Trump is revealed to be the Antichrist and Alex Jones regrets having supported him. All right, here's where we got to go way back. We got to start here. First, I guess, what is the Antichrist?
Okay, so a lot of people have very, very strong misconceptions about the Antichrist. And when I first heard about this theory, I completely brushed it off. I was actually a very big supporter of Donald Trump. I voted for him in 2016. I voted for him in 2020. And I like Trump. I agree with Trump's politics. I think he's funny. I think he's an entertaining guy. And I have nothing personally against Trump. So it's not that I'm anti-Trump. It's more so that I'm seeing connections that are not being talked about. And one of the things is, like you said, what is the Antichrist? And a lot of people have this conception. When they think of the Antichrist, they think of someone who's like, a George Soros or a Klaus Schwab, someone who is just obviously and blatantly evil and tyrannical. And, when I read scripture, it says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And right now, we are being presented with a suspiciously transparent darkness that is obviously evil and godless, that wants nothing but control and tyranny upon humanity. And what I'm suggesting is that what's happening right now is people are being fed this darkness in our faces, and it's only being done to lead us into the false light, which would be the light of Lucifer, as it's called. Lucifer actually, in the occult, is the light bearer. And it all stems from the inversion of the Garden of Eden story. And the occult sees Lucifer as the bringer of intellect and wisdom to mankind, where they see God as a tyrant who were holding Adam and Eve prisoner in the garden. They see the serpent as the liberator of mankind. And I think that the first lie will also be the last lie, and it will be a play on this false light deception. And right now, it's very interesting seeing everything happening. We see right now so many different crises unfolding upon not only America, but the world. And it almost seems like when Trump left office, everything went extremely downhill with the coming of the Biden administration and just the complete blatant corruption and incompetence of his administration and the current system, which has led to so many crises. And we have to remember that the Antichrist rises as an advocate for humanity, much like the serpent in the occult is seen as an advocate for humanity. And we have to remember that Satan operates not on outright opposition and adversity, but rather by imitation and infiltration. And this has always been how it is. He comes as a wolf in sheep's clothing. He has horns. He speaks like a lamb, but has horns like a goat.
So, but is the
I want to directly address your question.
Yeah. Is the Antichrist Satan? Is the son? What is he? What does he do?
So it's important to properly frame this conversation because within Christianity, there's different interpretations of the Antichrist. And in this discussion, so are you familiar with the concept of eschatology, like the study of the end times?
Vaguely.
Okay, so it's...
I mean, I've seen websites, but I don't really know anything about it.
So eschatology within Christianity, this is the study of the things of the end. So like the final days, the resurrection, so on and so forth. And there's different schools of thought within Christian eschatology. We're approaching it from one school called historical premillennialism. Okay, so there's historical premillennialism. This is the earliest position of the church. Then there's premillennial dispensationalism, which is the newest eschatology, which was actually funded by Zionists and causes people to support everything that Israel does, no matter how heinous or evil it is. Then there's postmillennialism, and I'm sure a lot of postmillennialists will get pissed at how we handle this conversation today.
How many are there?
There's a large contingent in America.
Wow.
And then there's amillennialism, which is another school. Within those different schools, so we're operating from historical premillennialism. The Antichrist is a figure prophesied in the Old Testament and the New Testament. In the Old Testament, he's called the false shepherd in the book of Zechariah, who gets wounded in his eye and in his arm. He's also referenced in the book of Daniel. Yeah.
If someone makes a move on Trump's life.
Exactly. It's
as for now.
For now.
For right now. there is a lot of almost seeming like foreshadowing that like there's going to be an attempt on Trump's life at some point.
Yeah, we should get into that. I want to finish this though, because this is important.
And then Trump's going to be like, the attack on my life has left me scarred and disfigured.
So you've got that in the Old Testament, and you've got in the book of Daniel, he's called the little horn, speaks great blasphemies against God, wages war on God's people. Then in the New Testament, he's referenced in Thessalonians, he's referenced in Revelation, other places too. And in Revelation 13, he's referenced as the beast, right? So it's basically this figure where the world is going to be in turmoil and chaos. A figure is going to rise. He's going to bring peace and order out of the chaos.
Oh, man.
He's going to place what's called the abomination of desolation inside of the third temple of Jerusalem. And the whole world is going to worship him. It says in Revelation 13, he's going to suffer a seemingly fatal wound, and then he's going to appear to resurrect from it, like Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead. He's going to utter great blasphemies against God. He's going to elevate himself above God.
Yeah, I can't see Trump blaspheming.
I mean,
Elevation in terms of like boasting about how great he is, yes. But blaspheming against God?
I'm in the same position. He's actually said very pro Jesus Christ things, and we can get into that. But blaspheming against God, basically exalting himself above God, places the abomination of desolation inside of the third temple, and the third temple is crucial in all of this. And then he's connected to what's called the second beast or the false prophet. Basically causes the entire world to worship what's called the image of the beast, and then the mark of the beast gets pushed on the world. So the Antichrist rises, places the abomination of desolation inside the third temple, creates a one world government, creates a one world religion, gets worshipped as God, and leads a ton of people to hell.
This was pointed out to us on Timcast IRL a few months ago. The red heifer was born, they claim, and I didn't know anything about this. So people were chatting, being like, "Hey, look up the red heifer." And the simple version is there has to be a pure-born red heifer with no blemishes so that it could be sacrificed, signaling the third temple, which is, what is that, the Messianic era for the Jewish religion?
Yeah, so Jews, this is what's so interesting about this from my perspective. Religious Jews are waiting for their Messiah. So they've rejected Jesus Christ as their Messiah. They're waiting for the arrival of their Messiah. And they're basically, when you look at the prophecies of the Jewish Messiah, it says that he will rise, he will place the nations as his footstool, like he will basically crush his enemies, and there will be a one world government from Jerusalem, right? So Jews are still waiting for their Messiah, okay? They rejected Jesus, and if Trump or whoever rises and creates a one world government from Jerusalem, Jews will worship him as their Messiah. They need their third temple in order for this to happen. That's why the red heifer in the third temple is so important. They can't have their Jewish Messiah without the third temple. Okay, so that's why I'm watching Temple Mount like a freaking hawk right now, dude, because if Israel makes a move to reclaim that and to build their third temple, it would instantly trigger World War III. But also if they build the third temple, like we're seconds away from the Antichrist rising potentially.
Well, if or perhaps World War III triggers an attempt on the Holy Land.
That's another possibility. Yeah, the third temple is critical in all of this. The Jews right now are waiting for their Messiah. Like Chase said, they rejected Jesus, the true Messiah, because they're not looking for the Messiah in the way that we Christians see it. They're looking for a king. They're looking for a political leader, someone who's going to elevate Israel and make Israel great. Which, funnily enough, I have with me this temple coin. I'll give this to Tim so he can show. This coin right here is a coin minted in Jerusalem, and it's backed by the Sanhedrin and the Temple Institute.
The temple coin.
Yep, and it's worth a half shekel, and this will grant you entry.
Switch to this camera to.
Yes, this coin will grant you entry. Let's see if we can get a focus. Probably back it up.
You guys could probably pull up, if you look up Trump Temple coin online, you guys could probably show what it looks like.
I'll just do that. Yeah, that one's not working.
Yeah, okay. But
this is crazy.
This coin will actually grant you access to the temple once it's built. And on the coin, we have Donald Trump, King Cyrus, and King Cyrus was the ancient Persian king who defeated Babylon.
Real quick. This is the here.
Yep.
Can you make that full screen?
This is the coin. In my hand right now, it's a little picture of Trump on it, and then here is the actual image.
Yeah. So I want to talk about this. It's actually very crucial to all this. So, this is, like I said, backed by the Sanhedrin and the Temple Institute. So we have Trump, King Cyrus, who defeated the Babylonian Empire, allowing the Jews to return home to build their temple. In Isaiah 45, he's called a Messiah to the Jews. On the bottom, if you read it, it says, "And he charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem." And on the back, we have the third temple of King Solomon. So for those who aren't familiar with the temple of King Solomon, the first one was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar. The second one was destroyed in 70 AD. And since then, it's been almost 2,000 years. The Jews have not had a way to atone for their sins. So this is a very serious matter for the Jewish people in Israel. They want nothing more than to bring about the temple so that they can continue their sacrifices and usher in the Messiah. There are two views in that are prominent. There's the view that the Messiah will build the temple, and then there's the view that the temple will be built and then the Messiah will come. But it's very interesting because many rabbis in Jerusalem are saying that Trump is actually the key who will herald the coming messianic age. And it's really funny because Rabbi Yosef Berger, who was the overseer of the tomb of King David, one of Jerusalem's most holiest sites, actually said that Trump is going to be the one to build the temple. And he right now is actually working on a genealogical link between King David and Donald Trump, going through his ancestry. And this is very important because like Jesus is the son of David, so too the Antichrist will also be seen as the son of David.
Do you guys know what Donald Trump means?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Donald Trump means herald of the world ruler.
Wow.
So Donald is, I believe it's Scottish Gaelic for ruler of the world, and Trump means the trumpet sound. So it is the fanfare of the world ruler. So I'm being a little colorful when I say herald of the world ruler, but you could literally translate it to the announcement of the world ruler, the trumpet sound of the world ruler,
and that's in Revelation, right, guys?
But hold on,
the trumpets.
So the theory then is it's not Donald himself, for he only heralds. He only announces the true ruler, Baron Trump.
Yeah, I actually want to get into that a little bit.
Whose name is Baron?
Yeah.
It's a lot to talk about there, yeah.
I actually do want to get into that a little bit because there are many Jews right now who believe that it's not Trump, but he will herald the coming Messiah. One thing I will say about the Antichrist is I don't want to give the impression that, the Antichrist knows his role right now. I would say if Trump is the Antichrist, he's not the Antichrist yet. He is merely a vessel. In the same way that Judas, he eventually became possessed by Satan, and in the Bible he is called the first Antichrist. I believe in the same way.
Sorry, real quick. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Babycenter.co.uk. Donald, what does it mean? It means ruler of the world.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So I want to zoom.
Ruler of the world.
I want to zoom out for a second.
There's a lot of people named Donald, though.
I want to zoom out for a second. The first time I was here, when we were talking about all the end time stuff, and you asked me, you were like, "Do you think the Antichrist is going to rise?" And I was like, "I think it's a possibility." You were like, "Who do you think it is?" I was like, "I've got some ideas." Immediately, you were like, "Do you think it's Trump?" What? Why do you think it might be him?
Right now, at least. I mean that somewhat half jokingly, but he is the most famous person in the world.
Yeah. And in Daniel, it says that he will have a unique physical appearance. He will be more stout looking than his fellows. And it's funny because in Daniel, he's described as the little horn. Well, a trump or a trumpet is literally a little horn. And the verse is describing, the little horn is Daniel chapter 7, verses 21 through 25. Trump Tower actually has multiple addresses. It's located on North 5th Ave, 721 to 725, perfectly mirroring the passages talking about the little horn. And there's a huge rabbit hole on Trump Tower and its connections.
So basically, we live in a simulation, and Donald Trump is the main character. No, I say he's the main character because everything, as of right now, is revolving around him. I mean, all news media, all politics, worldly affairs. Nobody will shut up about the guy.
Yeah. So check this out. I just DM'd this to you on Twitter, Tim. These are the traits of the Antichrist described in the Bible. So I'm going to read them off. Revelation chapter 13, verse 18, and Daniel 7:8 says he will be intelligent. It says he'll be a charismatic speaker in Daniel and Revelation. It says he'll be a crafty politician. It says he'll have a distinct physical appearance. He'll be a military genius, an economic genius. It says he'll be a blasphemer, utterly lawless. It says he'll be a selfish and ambitious egomaniac. It says he'll be a greedy materialist, controlling, proud and self-exalting above God and everything. So there are a lot of traits fulfilled there. I don't think all of the traits are fulfilled. I'm personally in the same camp. I'm not totally convinced that Trump is the Antichrist. I see the possibility. I can see how it would play out.
Well, let's I guess we'll slow down. We'll jump back. Is it the end of times? Are we even in the correct period for which the Antichrist would emerge?
Well, so Donnie and I were talking about this a few weeks ago. There's different perspectives on this. So the postmillennialists, they believe that the end of times happened around 70 AD.
Is that what the postmillennial means?
Yes, they believe they believe that the final days were before, as far as I understand, and we're essentially living after it. The thing about
so it's like it already happened.
That's what they believe. I don't believe that, and the majority of the early church fathers, they believed that the final days would be about 6,000 years after the earth was created, which is the time that we're living in right now. Okay, and the interesting thing about biblical prophecy is the Bible. This is one of God's distinct personality traits as described in the Bible. He makes known what's going to happen from the beginning to the end. So there were prophecies that prophesied Christ's coming. He fulfilled a ton of them. And then there are prophecies for what would happen in the final days, right? And we can go through the list, but the creation of the third temple of Jerusalem, that's the biggest one that I'm looking at.
So we have this story, I briefly mentioned, the red heifer.
Yeah.
And so there have been claims made that a red heifer had been born before. But typically what happens is, and it's important to know there are people who are intentionally genetically engineering red heifers. But then once they get old enough, they're like, nope, there's like a white hair, there's a blemish. It is not a pure red heifer. It is not the right moment. So there are groups that are trying to import, and they're trying to breed perfect red heifers. And it's been announced several times. They're like, we think we have one. It's a baby, but it's red. And then after a few years, it gets older and they go, nope, not right. Now they're claiming, I think it was in September, that they believe they'd have a true, pure red heifer. But again, we'll have to wait till it's old enough. The interesting thing about all of this is you're mentioning Judaism and the Third Temple, but there are Christians so you have Judaism waiting for its Messiah, and Christianity believing this could be the second coming, fighting for the expansion and protection of Israel because they want the prophecy to happen. They want the return of Christ, etc.
There's a large contingent of Christians in America that support that. Like a huge portion of evangelical Christians in America actually believe that by supporting Israel in everything that they do, they can kind of hasten the creation of the third temple and the rise of the Antichrist. And the part that's messed up about it, so this is called premillennial dispensationalism. This started in the 1800s. There were Zionists that actually funded these guys, Darby and Schofield, to conduct research and then create a Bible that basically psyoped, in my opinion, and I'm going to make a lot of enemies by saying this, psyoped American Christians into believing that we are going to be raptured at the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. And now, as a result of this Zionist-funded Schofield Bible, there's millions of Christians in America that believe that we should support everything Israel does so that the Antichrist can rise, they can create the third temple, and then boom, we're getting raptured at the beginning of the tribulation. But I don't believe that's at all what the Bible supports. I know Donnie's on the same page with that. And as far as like the things in Israel right now happening go and whether or not it's related to religion, I would actually argue the majority of it is related to religion. One of the things, so there was the October 7th attack from Hamas on Israel. Do you know what that operation was called? Al-Aqsa Storm.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, so and this is something that completely went under the radar. So 2 days before the October 7th attack, over 1,000 Israeli settlers stormed the Al-Aqsa compound. And the Al-Aqsa compound has the Al-Aqsa Mosque and what's it called? The Dome of the Rock.
Yep.
One of the, I think it might be the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It might also be the Dome of the Rock. One of those buildings is the third oldest holy site.
So let me pull this up. Keep talking. We'll show this as you're talking.
Yeah. So they stormed the Al-Aqsa compound, which is for Muslims, and this is like a huge religious no-no. Okay, this is a very, very sacred site for Muslims, and Israeli settlers stormed it. And the thing about the Al-Aqsa compound and Temple Mount in general is, for the third temple to be created, this Islamic holy site would need to be flattened. Okay. And so for Israeli settlers to storm this compound and commit this like egregious violation of Islamic sanctity, this is a massive sign of aggression towards the Islamic world. I don't think it's a coincidence that 2 days later, Hamas launches an attack called Al-Aqsa Storm. And I also know, I've been speaking with Muslims about this. If Israel moves to retake the Temple Mount and they flatten this Islamic compound, immediate nuclear war with Iran. Like immediate World War III. So it's a lot of this is very, very religiously motivated. And you've got, on one hand, see the Muslims, if any Muslims are listening, they're going to know what I'm talking about. Muslims do not want Israel to reclaim Temple Mount because they see the second Israel reclaims Temple Mount and they rise their Antichrist, they know that Israel is going to try and subjugate the entire planet with their Messiah. And Muslims don't want that to happen.
Or I should say they believe according to Scripture.
Yes, they believe according to their scriptures and their prophecies that Israel will attempt to subjugate the planet under their Messiah. And the Muslims see their Messiah as the Dajjal, as far as I understand. So this is like literally a holy war between Islam and Judaism. So I would argue that a lot of this is very religiously motivated, personally.
And as I mentioned earlier, I think it's also the inverse. If World War III kicks off, or I should say expanding regional conflict, then Israel may move to secure certain territories. I mean, look, let's remove religion from the equation and think about how this could happen outside of religion. Let's say we've got Iran attacking U.S. forces. That's been reported numerous times. Now we've got U.S. warships being attacked. I think in the Mediterranean, or maybe it's in the Gulf. Is it Mediterranean?
It was by Yemen in that like strait.
Yeah. Okay. And so
I think the Bering Sea or something.
Let's say this conflict escalates, and you end up with Iran-backed militias, Houthi rebels. They're moving through the region. We've already had Houthi rebels firing, I believe, missiles, and let's say it comes from Jordan into the West Bank. Let's say we start getting escalating conflict happening near the River Jordan. So outside of any religious context, Israel says we have to have full military secure domination of all of this territory.
Yep.
Now, a lot of people are immediately assume, oh no, it's always gonna be religious. No, I'm just saying. Imagine the U.S. says, if you don't control these checkpoints in this territory, you are at risk. Your people will be killed. So not religiously claiming the Temple Mount or whatever, they just secure the area with IDF forces backed by the U.S. And now you have inadvertently Israel reclaiming the Holy Land.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Which
results in
World War III.
Exactly.
Now, I do think that U.S. military forces and Israel, of course, they're cognizant of the fact that if they do secure this territory, what they would be saying to the Muslim world. But there could be people in military who are like, I don't care about religion. You are going to see a massacre unless we lock this down. Do it. And then you're going to have religious people being like, guess we have to do it.
Maybe that's what we're being set up for right now.
Yeah. Right now, what's happening on the world stage to me just seems like the perfect storm. And it's just everything just seems to be lining up so well for a savior to come.
The calm before the storm, maybe?
Yeah, the calm before the storm, exactly.
Trust the plan, Patriot.
Yeah. I don't think it's a coincidence that we see this rise of, Q and this rhetoric about this coming great awakening.
Well, and remember, Q said saving Israel for last was one of the posts.
Yeah, absolutely. See, it's funny because a lot of people say Q is a psyop, but I think it's a little more than that. I think it's a little deeper. I think Q is sort of a John the Baptist to the beast, in the same way that John the Baptist paved the way for Christ. The same way the beast will also have a John the Baptist that sort of paves the way for the beast. And it's interesting to see how cryptic and mysterious Q is and just the hold that it has on so many people, coinciding with this talk about this great awakening. And I think that it's on the wings of this great awakening will come the false light, end times deception, because for many, many years, the occult has been propagating the idea of a coming age of spiritual awakening, of the spiritual evolution of mankind, that through defeating the tyranny of this current system, that we will enter into a new age. Some people call it the age of Aquarius. Aleister Crowley called it the Aeon of Horus. It's called many different things by many different people, but ultimately I think is all the same thing, which is the real beast kingdom, the real new world order, which is, not the counterfeit one that's being promoted right now, that's leading many people into fear. And through this fear that people are being led into, I believe people will be led into the false light of what's coming, this false light, great awakening. The word apocalypse really just means, to reveal, and the word occult means hidden. And what I think is hidden and what is going to be revealed is the hidden occult mystery school teachings of human divinity. And what I think is going to happen is that I believe that the stage is being set right now for humanity to collectively rise up against this current order, which I call the harlot system. And it's funny because in Revelation 17:16, we see that the beast, when he arrives on the scene, he doesn't initially start waging war on the saints. He actually wages war on a system called the harlot. And it's described in the Bible as a demonic stronghold. And I think right now, what the stage is being set for humanity to rise up against this system, and through its destruction shall come the rebirth of the real beast system. And in the occult, we see these themes of destruction and rebirth all over the place. In the same way that by becoming a follower of Jesus Christ, we are born again. In the occult, what happens is we're broken down, our old self is destroyed, and our new awakened, enlightened self is born. It's funny because when you really look at it, you'll see that Satan really has never had an original idea yet. Everything in the occult is merely an inversion or perversion of biblical truth. And what I think this revealing is in the occult is the revealing that of the lie of the serpent, that we are as gods. And we will see humanity collectively, we will unify our collective consciousness, so to speak, and rise up, just like early occult writers like Alice Bailey, who was the founder of the New Age. She founded the group Lucifer's Trust, and a very devout occult writer. And she said that, humanity would enter the new awakened age through defeating tyranny. And I think right now the stage is being set for humanity to join in the beast's Gnostic rebellion against the current system to usher in destruction of the old order and the rebirth of the new awakened age.
Well, let's say Donald Trump is the Antichrist, right? He's supposed to be beloved by everybody, right?
Not exactly. So a lot of people do have this conception that the Antichrist will be loved by all. He'll be this young, charming guy, who everybody likes. And, a lot of people get this from like the Left Behind series and a lot of things in like Hollywood depictions of the Antichrist. But, in Daniel chapter 11, it says that the Antichrist becomes strong with a small group of people. So when the Antichrist, comes on the scene, he becomes very strong with a small group. And eventually, he rises up to his political aspirations and leads the world into peace. It says in Daniel chapter 8, verse 25, he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many.
It also says that in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the reasons why I find the Trump Antichrist theory very interesting, because it says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, when people are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them like the labor pains of a pregnant woman. Part of the reason why this is interesting, Tim, is because I don't know if I'm sure you remember the Abraham Accords when Trump made peace in the Middle East. When you look at all of
to a certain degree,
when you look at all of the banners behind them at their press conferences and whatnot, it says peace and security in the Middle East, which is exactly what it said in Thessalonians.
Been saying lately, peace through strength.
Yeah, the phone call where he was like, Yeah, I told them I'd nuke Moscow or Beijing. Maybe
The N word.
believe me,
The
but
N word. It's
5%.
very bad. We never say the N word.
Yeah, nuclear.
You do a good
Anyway,
Trump impression.
To go back, and to go back to your question a second ago about whether or not he'd be loved by everybody. So in Revelation 13, it says that the whole world will basically marvel at his miracles and at his ability to bring peace to the world. And people are going to literally worship him as a result of it. So a large portion of the world, like the Bible says, wide is the path to destruction, narrow is the path to salvation. Few will find it, right? A large portion of the world, whoever the Antichrist is, a large portion of the world will be deceived by him, and they will end up worshiping him. Whether that's Trump or somebody else, I don't know. But I want to simplify some of what you were saying a second ago, Donnie, because it was like you were dropping a lot of like hardcore perspective on like the occult, the Great Awakening, all of that kind of stuff. Basically, Donnie's thesis about Trump and all of this is that there is an obvious darkness that we all see in the world. Anybody who has their eyes awake, we see the rise of the New World Order. There's digital IDs, central bank digital currencies, social credit scores, carbon credits, all of this stuff, right? We're walking into a world basically that's pushed by the World Economic Forum, where you have to get injected with the latest experimental gene therapy, and what you say is going to be tracked on social media.
You can't buy or sell unless you have the special program.
Exactly. And the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, has repeatedly said that they want to microchip the entire population and attach those microchips to basically your wallet and all of these different things. That's like, and this is part of the reason why I'm so interested in this discussion, is because that technology, that has Mark of the Beast written all over it, in my opinion.
There was a funny thing happened. I think it was Luke Rudkowski mentioned Bill Gates wanted to microchip people for birth control or something like that. And I laughed and I was like, that's come on, dude. Are you kidding? And then we Googled it, and it's like Bill Gates did invest in a company that would do birth control implant chips or whatever. And yeah, there you go. I don't know.
Have you seen his 060606 patent?
Yes.
I mean, that's like, dude, when I saw that, this is from April of 2020. For anybody who's unaware, Microsoft was awarded an international patent for a device that connects to your body, reads all of your biometric data.
Let's pull this one up real quick.
And in exchange for your biometric data, this device would give you access to cryptocurrency. The patent number for this device, which was a randomly assigned patent number, I spoke with the
060606.
it's 060606, which is exactly what the Bible says in Revelation chapter 13.
Also, is Bill Gates the Antichrist?
No, he's not charismatic enough.
So this is a National Post story. Bill Gates funds birth control microchip that lasts 16 years inside the body and can be turned on or off with remote control.
Dude, he's so evil,
So,
bro.
like,
He's so
Luke,
evil.
Luke tells me this, and I'm like, shut up, dude. Bill Gates is not making birth control microchips you can remotely control. And then he's like, Google it. And I'm like, here it is from the National Post 10 years ago.
Depopulationists gonna depopulation, bro. But yeah, so it's like, okay, we've got this going on. There's this obvious New World Order agenda. Like, we all see it. It's evil. It does need to be stopped. Donnie's thesis is that, and Drew as well, correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's like a Hegelian dialectic that basically the Freemasons, Rothschilds, whoever, the people that control the world are presenting to us, where there's this obvious fake evil, or I wouldn't say it's a fake evil, but there's this obvious evil that needs to be destroyed. Donnie's saying Trump, Elon Musk, whoever, they are the false light that will rescue the world from it. So it's like, that's basic. That's exactly the theory. And
Problem, reaction, solution.
yeah. And so, like, to expand upon it further, the idea is that Trump and Elon Musk would save us from that obvious New World Order evil and then lead the world into a Gnostic age of enlightenment where people have advanced technologies, diseases get healed. It's like Elon Musk says with Neuralink, it's like, it'll be like Jesus, the blind will see, people will have eternal life. And so it's leading the world into like a Gnostic awakening.
Yeah, but see, this is a better case for Elon Musk being the Antichrist.
Elon Musk plays a very big role in it.
So yeah, I'll take it from there.
But it would, all of this, I don't think points to Trump in any way. I think Elon.
Well, so biblical prophecy actually does, because in Revelation 13, you have the beast, and then you have the second beast, the false prophet.
Second beast.
So it's
two of them.
Yeah. So it's like Jesus and John the Baptist, right? You had the Messiah, and then you had the guy who heralded the Messiah. So the false prophet heralds basically the Antichrist. I don't know who's who in this scenario. Trump could be the beast. He could be the second beast. I don't know. Donnie's convinced Elon is the second beast, false prophet. But so basically you have the two guys, And then it says in Revelation 13 that the second beast, the false prophet, creates an image of the first beast and breathes life into it. And then the world worships the image of the first beast, which to me sounds like some sort of AI, kind of like if you played Halo Cortana, like some sort of AI creation that the world worships. And if you've got everybody jacked into Neuralink, that's it.
And hold on. I think it's the important thing is, I'll say this as I would for any other theory, whatever. People will try to shoehorn whatever and be like, okay, so we recently had like something happened with a moon in Virgo or something like this. And then everyone said, that's one of the signs of Revelation where the woman will do this thing. And it's like, if there is an AI that's created, it's not that we're bowing before it. It's that we all hold it in our hands and speak to it. What if Grok is that? Grok just came out. I got it on my Twitter app. It's so much fun. And it's not that I'm worshiping it. But what if, how would you view a group of people that all asked Grok what to do? What should I do? Where should I go? Give me the answers. They'd say, an outside group would say, they clearly worship this thing where they believe it has all the answers for them.
Yeah. Worship isn't always like a lot of people especially in the West have this misconception about what worship is. Worship is of the heart. It's not always bowing down before an idol and, doing chants. We worship. There's so many things that in our lives that we may worship and we don't even realize it. Idols that we may have.
And I think that's a common motif right now with the rise of atheism and materialism and secularism, is that there's a large amount of people who think, oh, I'm above having a God. I don't worship anything. But in fact, they've replaced what traditionally the spiritual needs that religion has filled. They've now filled it with a Mecca trip to Walt Disney World, being obsessed with a pantheon of gods from the Avengers. And that actually rolls right into one of my main cases with Elon Musk, where Chase and Donnie here focus on scripture, which is awesome and is it complements so many things. It really lines up exactly with the stuff that I approach it from. But it's a bit of a different approach. Where I approach how culture moves is Plato in his works on utopia. He talks in How to Run a Civilization. He's often paraphrased with this quote that says, "The people who tell the stories rule the civilization, rule society." So the idea is the stories that you tell children in a society, it forms their ideas of morals. It tells them what a hero looks like. It tells them what a villain looks like. It teaches them, whether to be to value individualism or collectivism. And if you look at the U.S., what's the equivalent of an American mythology? The Greeks had mythology, Egyptians had mythology, Romans had mythology. The equivalent of an American post-World War II, post-Christianity world is effectively these superhero movies, which have a pantheon of heroes, whether it be the DC universe with Superman and Batman, or the Avengers universe with Captain America and Iron Man.
And quite literally Thor, a god.
Exactly. So what's interesting about Avengers Endgame in the movie universe actually takes place in 2023. And 2023 in Vietnamese astrology is a cat year. So you bringing up cats earlier was very relevant. But the long story short, Robert Downey Jr., who played Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, in the movies, he literally said, I kind of based the way I play the character off of the mannerisms of Elon Musk. And
then he put Elon Musk in the movie.
Yeah, Elon Musk was in Iron Man 2 right after. And what's really funny is, we have all the X symbolism with Musk. He's named all of his companies X for forever, X.com, starting with X.com, and now he's basically reborn it. With
X.com was back in the day,
which became PayPal,
right?
Essentially.
And now he's turned Twitter back into X.com.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Which he's trying to add financial services, and he wants to make.
And it's already got Grok. I mean, this is like a large language database.
Well, dude, look at
Jarvis.
Look at how all of this would evolve. Sorry to interrupt you, but look at how all of this would evolve, man. Like Elon Musk talks, he talks so frequently about human evolution, and he's tweeted constantly about this. Like his perspective is that we are moving towards some sort of collective consciousness hive mind in which humanity is going to be connected to one another and artificial intelligence through Neuralink, right? And he constantly talks about how X is at the center of all of this. Look at the natural, or I would say the highly unnatural being pushed in this direction. Look at the unnatural evolution of all of this. You have humanity's quote unquote collective consciousness being collected on X.com. He's building AI with Grok. I'm sure Grok is like absorbing all of this information from the collective consciousness that we're putting on X.
It is.
Yes. And then eventually at some point in time, Neuralink is going to get rolled out. Elon Musk, in his sit down with Benjamin Netanyahu in, I think it was September 18th, around then, he said that AGI, his prediction, and Ray Kurzweil's as well, AGI will be fully online around the year 2029.
Artificial general intelligence.
Yes, which is like the super, like godlike AI.
The singularity.
Yes. That's
when AI can teach itself new things progressively.
Yes.
We're already at the point where the large language models they've built, like GPT, can alter its own code.
Wasn't that recent drama with OpenAI? It was rumored to be because there was a big advancement within the project, and that's why they got rid of Altman and brought it
AGI.
back.
So they tried to oust Sam Altman, and what everyone starts sharing is that there was an advancement towards AGI that could put humanity at risk, and Altman was like, "Don't care, just do it."
Whatever happened, and this is a perfect segue into your thesis. Whatever happened, this threat that AGI poses to humanity was central in Elon Musk's conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu a couple of months ago. Basically, the idea, for anybody unaware, is that when AGI comes online, there will be a digital superintelligence that will be so powerful that humanity won't be able to control it. And if it becomes out of control and it decides that it wants to make the human race go extinct, there's nothing we'll be able to do to stop it, which is why Elon Musk has decided to create Neuralink. As he said on Joe Rogan's podcast, it's like, okay, we're not going to be able to beat this. This is going to be a godlike intelligence. If you can't beat it, join it.
Yeah, he basically was saying, like, how do you stop a Terminator scenario? Be part of the system.
Exactly.
Now, let me tell you something crazy. I just got Grok. This is the X large language model program that's integrated with Twitter. If you're a premium user, you get access to it. It is leaps and bounds better than GPT.
Look at the logical progression of it. So you've got AI. Because if AI is this advanced right now, and just look at where it was a couple of years ago, like it was so basic and rudimentary in comparison to how it is now. If it continues to become more and more advanced, like Elon Musk's case for pushing Neuralink, it makes sense, practically speaking. From a spiritual perspective, it's extremely dangerous. But Elon Musk, in this scenario, he's done a lot of predictive programming around everybody in AI is basically saying, hey, we're creating some sort of godlike intelligence. And I think Drew Tang is right that Elon Musk views himself as kind of the savior of humanity in this scenario. Do you want to riff on that?
Yeah. So when
and sees himself basically as this transhumanist savior, which is like, if it's organic, it's admirable. Right? If it's organic, it's admirable, but I'm not fully convinced that it's organic because Elon Musk has continuously alluded to kind of like New World Order satanic symbolism, right? He wore his Devil's Champion Halloween costume.
made his profile pic for months.
Made it his profile picture. Do you remember the Devil's Champion Halloween costume?
What is the Devil's Champion?
Well, so it's, I mean, in the context of eschatological discussion, like I think it could be a signal where he's telling us who he actually is. And I don't think that just because he posted that. I also look at his mother, Mae Musk. She is constantly flaunting this Illuminati symbolism on magazine covers. And like, if you've done your research on quote unquote conspiracy theories, like this is like the Freemasonic hand signal
hand
of
sign?
like, over the eye. It's a symbol of the all-seeing eye, basically. Masonic symbolism. There's that, but also on top of that, one of the things that I noticed that Musk did a few years ago, I believe it was at the Met Gala, I think in 2018, he wore a tuxedo jacket that said Novus Ordo Seclorum on the back of it. And his caption said Illuminati, and naughty was spelled like N-A-U-G-H-T, kind of being like, oh, I might be in the Illuminati, I might not. And for anybody who's unaware, the Novus Ordo Seclorum, this is kind of like an ancient prophecy. It's also the Freemasonic ideal of Novus Ordo Seclorum in Latin means the new order of the ages.
You can see it on the back of the $1 bill.
Yes. Right below the all-seeing eye at the top of the pyramid. It's the new order of the ages, right? The New World Order. The founding fathers who were Freemasons, they saw this as basically like the age of Aquarius, the age when humanity would become enlightened demigods and would basically ascend and fulfill the Freemasonic ideal of true enlightenment, which is, as Donnie's been talking about, the Gnostic Luciferian ideal of ascending into godhood, right? So Elon Musk wears this this Novus Ordo Seclorum jacket, and to people who don't have eyes to see, to the uninitiated, he's just like, oh, like Illuminati, like I'm just joking around. But I look at that and I'm like, are you actually telling us who you are? Are you in part of the club and you're kind of signaling to us beforehand what's about to go down? That's what I want to know.
So what, he wore a Halloween costume? Like, was it a costume of something specific, or did he just?
It has the Baphomet.
It has the Baphomet.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, like, did he make a costume, or was he in costume as a character who wears this?
No, I don't think he was in costume as a character who wears it. I just think it was a bit of a conspicuous and peculiar costume for somebody to wear who seems to be aligned with what I perceive as an Antichrist agenda, right? Because the whole idea of giving humanity, and he talks about this, giving humanity eternal life through transhumanism in his sit down with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Right.
Netanyahu was like, okay, so what happens when we have incredible abundance with AI and transhumanism and robotics? And Elon was like, look, I mean, we're basically going to be creating heaven on earth, right? We're going to have so much abundance, you won't have to work. I believe this is the great satanic lie that humanity will be told, which is that we can have eternal life through technology. You don't need Jesus Christ for it. We can create heaven on earth through technology. You don't need Jesus Christ for it. And this is exactly the kind of scenario that caused God to kick Adam and Eve out of the garden, right? At the end of Genesis chapter 3, God said, they ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge. They rebelled against God, and God cut them off from the tree of life, because you had human beings who were in rebellion to God that would have then had eternal life. When I think about the definition of hell, I think human beings who have eternal life, who are eternally in rebellion to God. I think if humanity tries to create heaven on earth through AI, transhumanism, all of this kind of stuff, you're going to have people that are trying to create heaven, but they're still wicked internally. And if you have wicked beings who live forever, how could that not descend into hell on a long enough time span?
You know what they're doing with, like, Facebook, right?
No.
They've been doing this for a long time. Everything you've ever posted on Facebook, they load that into a large language model program, and you can talk to a dead loved one.
Whoa. But yeah, I think if they're imitating any gods, I think the quote unquote lowercase g gods that they're imitating are probably the fallen angels of Genesis 6. This is one of the super interesting things about history, and we can tie it in with that article that I sent you about Trump and Netanyahu being in contact with aliens. This is one of the interesting things about history that very few people talk about. I mean, all of these ancient civilizations have very similar myths of a flood and gods that came down from the heavens and mated with human beings.
And they're all similarly described as like 8 or 9 foot tall, with like green or blue skin.
Yes, yes. And there's in so many of these ancient cultures on different continents around the world, they have statue depictions of these like reptilian beings and whatnot that have these elongated heads. And what's interesting about that is in the Bible in Genesis 6, this is why God flooded the earth in Genesis 6, according to many biblical scholars. Yeah, it says in the beginning of Genesis 6 that the sons of God came down and they mated with the daughters of man, and their offspring were the Nephilim, the giant human beings, the men of renown, the great men of old. So one of the interesting things that Jesus Christ said, he said in Matthew chapter 24 that in the final days it would be like it was in the days of Noah. Okay, so in the days of Noah, you've got these fallen angels coming down and mating with human beings, creating these giant offspring. I think that's what the extraterrestrial stuff is going to lead into. And this ties into Donnie's thesis of like this awakened age of enlightenment. I think humanity, I'm staking my flag right now. I think humanity is on the verge of having some sort of massive disclosure event with extraterrestrials. I believe it's been planned in advance. Okay, and if
Trump wouldn't keep his mouth shut.
I don't know, man.
They're aliens.
I mean, dude, he probably knows.
Talk to me. People would be like, "Get him out. He's crazy."
I think Trump probably knows about so many things that like he's not telling humanity about.
Well, yeah, specifically, I don't know if you know this, Tim. I'm sure you do, though. But when Tesla died, Nikola Tesla obviously created AC power.
It was Trump's uncle who.
John Trump.
John Trump of MIT. Professor John Trump got all of the FBI gave all the papers to him first. So there's a lot of interesting things with Trump in terms of
Trump did say that his uncle shared a lot of the secrets with him. He said that he learned a lot from his uncle, and
Really?
he did imply that his uncle would share a lot of the knowledge with him.
That's very interesting. Tim, are you aware of what Werner von Braun wrote about Mars colonization?
The Mars
and who
Project.
He
Wrote it in 1948.
Tell him about this, bro.
So Werner von Braun, obviously, Operation Paperclip transplant. So he's Nazi scientist.
He made the V2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we stole him from Germany as part of Operation Paperclip.
He has that amazing quote where he said the rocket performed perfectly. It just landed on the wrong planet. Because he was actually researching rocketry for space travel, not for weaponry. But of course, Hitler was like, you can kill people with that. And he was like, okay, guys.
Yeah.
So check this out.
Chief architect of the Saturn V rocket that the Apollo missions used. And, he's given the title, the father of rocketry or whatever. But he, in 1948, after he had already come to America in Operation Paperclip, he wrote a book called The Mars Project, which is about a human colony on Mars. And in this book, he basically describes in the chapter that's titled How Mars is Governed, he specifically says, he describes a type of technocracy, which is basically ruled by the experts as opposed to a pure democracy. And he also says that the title given to the leader of the human Mars colony will be Elon. That's the title. It's not the
When was this written?
Name. 1948.
Say it one more time.
1948, the Mars Project.
Werner von Braun wrote in a book that the leader of the Mars technocracy would be a man titled Elon. Think about that. How many decades before Elon was born was this written?
It's at 3, yeah. A little less than 3.
How weird is that?
It's and what's even weirder is how does that title end up being the name of the guy who leads not only the main guy pushing for human civilization on Mars, but effectively he now has a very similar role to that Werner von Braun had, because what people don't realize is Werner von Braun actually was huge in not just the actual program, but in propagating the ideas to the American people of what space travel would look like. Because Walt Disney World was being built at the same time, very close to the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, they were collaborating. Specifically, I think it's Man in Space is the title of a project they worked on together, which they basically got Americans comfortable with this idea of space travel. And now we have Elon Musk is effectively the face of NASA and running SpaceX.
Well, it could be what would be likely is that Elon Musk, organizing this through private corporations, so he's in charge, sends people there. After Elon dies, someone goes, well, who's gonna take over? I mean, who's effectively gonna be our next Elon Musk? And someone says like, I think John will be a good Elon. And they'll be like, he's kind of like that guy. I'll be like, all right, you're our Elon. And then that's how the name becomes the noun, becomes the title. Not that we bestow the honor of the name Elon to you. They're saying it figuratively. Like, well, who's going to be our next Mike? Mike quit. It's like, yeah, Bill's pretty good. He can do what Mike does.
Could also be a AI transhumanist resurrection of Elon Musk. Could also in that benevolent AI situation. There's one thing I'd like to add.
Real quick though, just on this, I imagine a scenario where May Musk is like reading all this stuff, and then she's having a kid. She names him Elon. And then his whole life as a child, she's like, you must colonize Mars. That makes more sense than Werner von Braun psychic.
Well, now I want to give some solid connections here to the Musk family. So what's interesting about Elon Musk is that, everyone knows of him as being from South Africa, our richest African American in the US. But what people don't know is kind of why his family moved to South Africa. Originally, his grandfather, Joshua Hayden, he actually ran the Technocracy Party in Canada. And he was actually arrested by the Canadian government during World War II because they saw the Technocracy Party as a threat to the stability of the government. So he wasn't necessarily kicked out of Canada for that. But I mean, once the government arrests you for, essentially being a threat to them, it's probably not a good idea to stick around too much longer. But the idea that he was technocracy. The world used to be much smaller with fewer there's fewer people around, especially in areas of power, starting these international movements of technocracy.
The radio station playing in the background for those who are playing the video game or watching the TV show. So like none of this, we're just side characters. None of this really matters. Donald Trump is the main character, or at least, if it is a video game wherein you customize your own character, it ain't us. And Donald Trump is the main story arc character where you play and follow along on.
That's what the elites want you to think. The real main character is Jesus Christ.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Tim, have you seen any of the alleged predictive programming surrounding Donald Trump?
No, what does that mean?
Okay, like for example, there is a TV Western that came out in 1958. And there's an episode called The End of the World. And in this episode, there's a con man who comes to town and tells everybody that the world is going to end and that the only thing that can save them is him by building a wall. And guess what his name is?
Donald Trump?
His name's Trump. His name's Trump. This came out in 1958. And
what are the odds of that?
Yeah. Yeah. The townsfolk all believe him. And, there's a character who's like, no, like we got to stop this guy. He's a con man and everything like that. And
it's actually crazy how much predictive programming there is around Trump and all of this stuff. Yeah. And I will say for anybody watching, Donnie Darkened covers this stuff very extensively on his Twitter account. Definitely go check out his Twitter account. It's unbelievable how much predictive programming there is.
Yeah, predictive programming, numerology. When it comes to numerology, a lot of people don't really take it very seriously, but we have to remember that that they take it very seriously. For example, there was a meeting that Trump had with Lev Parnas and some other people. And in the meeting, Lev goes over to Trump and he says, the people of Israel, we really respect what you do. We looked up the numbers of Messiah equals 424, and your name, Donald John Trump, is the same numbers as Messiah. And they're actually right. Messiah, Messiah, son of David, equals 424 in Jewish gematria, as well as Donald John Trump. Trump's like, oh wow, you got any other numbers? but he says it's he's like, is that good? He's like, it's amazing. He had to translate it to Hebrew first.
Oh
yeah. And but you could actually pull up the clip. I don't know if you could do that. I sent a link. But he says he's like, it's amazing. It's like you're the savior of the whole world. You have the number of Messiah. It's not like good. It's like best. It's like a miracle. And then Trump's like, wow, let Kushner know. He'll like that.
So I just want to add in on the numerology topic. First of all, shout out GG33. It's a numerology group that I'm a part of, and they've kind of been on the forefront of bringing this to the public's consciousness. But in terms of Trump, there's so many extremely interesting numerology instances. Like, for instance, he was inaugurated when he was exactly 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old.
Inaugurated president. Think about that for a moment. Trump was inaugurated president 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days after he was born. He was also born 700 days prior to the founding of Israel. The Temple coin, tell them about the 70 years on the Temple coin.
Yeah, so if you actually look on the coin, it says to fulfill 70 years. And when Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, he did that on coinciding with the exact day 70 years that Israel was founded. He was also born exactly 700 days before the founding of Israel. And the Jews and a lot of the rabbis in Israel believe that this is all very prophetic, which is why it's inscribed on the coin here. And, as we know, 7 is the number of completion. And they really take the numbers and the numerology surrounding all these things very, very seriously.
Another one I find really interesting is his grandmother. Her name was Elizabeth Christ,
yes.
Elizabeth Christ Trump. Mm-hmm. And she died on June 6th, 1966, which is 6/6/66.
Yeah. Elizabeth Christ Trump. She's the matriarch of the Trump family.
He also says that he lives on the 66th floor of what, Trump Tower?
Yeah, Trump Tower. So
how many floors does it actually have?
It actually has 58 floors, but he tells people that he lives on the 66th floor, and you can look this up.
Which is very strange.
Yeah, and also his penthouse was used.
I did the gematria calculator.
Yeah, 424. And Trump
Yeah,
was
this
the first.
is true. Donald Trump translates the Messiah, son of David.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that, the very
what do you
next
think
day.
about that, Tim? What do you think about that,
crazier.
Matt
It gets even crazier. So the very next day after Lev Parnas says this to him, Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to visit the Western Wall. The first sitting. But here's the deal.
Check this out.
Here's
Check
the
this
deal.
out.
The moment, and you can watch the clip, the moment his hand touches the wall, the time goes from 4:23 to 4:24. The exact moment it touches the wall, the day after this was said to him.
And of course, the wall is the last standing wall of the Second Temple.
Yeah. So check this out. Check this out.
Which
Tim.
was destroyed in 70 AD.
So one of the other reasons why this is very significant is because we've already covered the fact that Jews are still waiting for their Messiah. And when you look at the prophecies of the Messiah, one of the preconditions for the Jewish Messiah, which Jesus Christ met, is that he has to be a descendant of Jesse and David. Okay. So you've got all this symbolism around what did it translate to a second ago that you pulled up?
The Messiah, son of David,
Okay.
calculates in gematria the same as Donald,
Okay.
not Donald John Trump, Donald Trump.
Okay.
So
I sent you the thing too.
in addition to looking out for the creation of the third temple of Israel, what we also have to look out for is whether or not genealogists trace Trump's genealogy back to King David.
So what you're saying, he's not the Antichrist. You're saying that he's the Messiah.
Well,
okay.
this is let me make my point, because this is like really important for people to understand. My personal position on the Antichrist and the Jewish Messiah that Jews are still waiting for because they've rejected Jesus. I believe that the man who Jews look to as their Messiah, if he rises in our lifetimes, I believe that will be the Antichrist. And what's interesting about Trump, what was Trump's involvement? What was Trump's involvement with the Noahide laws?
Oh yeah, he's referred to in a lot of Israeli sources as the champion of the Noahide laws, and as well, him and all the presidents, like a couple presidents before him, would continue the putting the Noahide laws into.
So here's the clip. CNN, 4:23 p.m. Jerusalem at the Western Wall, and Trump's hand is about to touch the wall, and 4:24. Trump puts his hand on the Western Wall.
Yeah,
Dude, that's either an insane coincidence or it was coordinated or whatever.
Now, it's really important, though, that people have some context about the relationship between the Jewish Messiah and the Antichrist. See, like I said earlier, the Jews, they rejected Jesus because they're looking for a political leader. They're looking for a king, right? So in John chapter 5, verse 43, Jesus is talking to the Pharisees, and he says, I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, and him ye shall receive. And what he's alluding to is that later on, that the Jews will actually accept the false Messiah. And that's what the Antichrist is. He's a false counterfeit Christ with a false counterfeit kingdom. And what we see happening now is the Jews are looking for this Messiah. They're looking for this political leader to step up and fulfill these prophecies that Jesus has not yet fulfilled about a millennial kingdom. And there is so much that ties into this. I think it's beyond fascinating.
What's interesting about that too. So I have a friend who's an Israeli, Tim, and there's actually a ton of people in Israel who believe Trump is either the Jewish Messiah or the Antichrist.
One or the other, huh?
Yeah, there's secular Jews even who believe that he may be the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm. We're getting close to the end here, but I guess the final thought's like, what is the Antichrist? He's a bad dude. He does bad things, or what?
So the Antichrist is going to appear to be the savior of the world, and this is what will cause people to worship him.
Deus ex machina.
Yes. So he's going to appear to be the savior of the world,
and then destroy the world, or what?
No, it says he's going to reign for 7 years. He's going to bring peace to the world. It says that he's going to
So he's going to win
for a period of 7 years.
No. So he already was for 4. He has to win again in 2024.
He has to have a second coming, like Jesus.
He has to have a second term. Yeah.
I mean, look, if there's, I'll stake another position.
Wait.
Right
He
now.
only reigns for 7 years and then he's gone. Is that it?
So the way it goes, he rises, he reigns for 7 years, and then in Revelation chapter 19, it says that Jesus Christ returns from the heavens and he destroys the Antichrist and his armies. So he's going to appear to have won, and then after 7 years, Jesus Christ returns. Okay, so I'll just say this: if they trace Trump's genealogy back to King David, if there is, God forbid, an assassination attempt on Trump's life, and then he appears to resurrect from the dead, and if his arm and his eye gets wounded, if that happens,
And temple.
if the third
People are gonna
temple
lose
gets
their
created-
minds.
dude, and it's already being predictively programmed right now. You know, you have all these articles coming out, and people, like so many people, are talking about an attempt on Trump's life. Like
Right.
it's already being
It's
seeded
already
right
happened.
now.
Tim, are you familiar?
In 2015, a guy tried grabbing a gun from a cop at a Trump event, and they tackled him and arrested him.
Yeah, Tim, are you familiar with the Illuminati playing card decks? Like,
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Look up the Enough is Enough card. Look up Enough is Enough Illuminati playing card.
How much time do we have, by the way?
Like 10 minutes.
Okay, and if you look at the image, it looks just like Trump, and on it, it's talking about an assassination.
Where's a good clear one here? Oh, look at this. Enough is enough. It does kind of look like Trump. It says, at any time or any place, our snipers can drop you. Have a nice day. Play this card on your own turn. Before drawing any plots, you may remove all zap, paralysis, or attribute freeze cards that are affecting your power structure. However, preoccupied with your house cleaning, you may draw no plots this turn.
Yeah,
Draw no plot cards this turn.
Enough is Enough was just trending on Twitter, and there's a lot. I have a clip available on my Twitter page, and so much talking about enough is enough in regards to Trump, and I think this could be some sort of foreshadowing of a future assassination attempt on Donald
Yo,
Trump.
this one is crazy.
Oh
Yeah,
terrorist
dude.
nuke.
Yeah, they have one. They have one for the Pentagon too.
Yeah, the Illuminati card game in 1995 had the World Trade Centers being bombed.
Same thing with the Pentagon.
Yeah, the Pentagon one.
Yeah.
But long story short, with Donald Trump, I mean, there is like quite literally mountains of predictive programming, weird, strange coincidences that I've documented on my Twitter page. Obviously, we can only scratch the surface right now, but I mean, if you really go down that rabbit hole, I mean, it gets to a certain point where you're just like, how is this even mathematically possible that all of these coincidences are stacked on top of each other right now?
Right.
How about the Ingersoll Lockwood books?
Yeah, that's a
No,
bit.
you know what? I still don't believe it's real. I can't ever believe it's real, no matter what people say. And I was talking to someone just like 2 weeks ago, and we mentioned someone was talking about something related to Trump, and I said something about the Ingersoll Lockwood books, that it's been foretold, and they laughed. And I said, no, the books are real. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, the books are real. And then they were like, what's the joke? And I'm like, Google right now on your phone, Ingersoll Lockwood, Barron Trump, and read it. And they looked it up and they're like, what?
And you wrote the book,
Like
The
the
Last
book-
President.
So yeah,
The last
Barron
president
Trump's-
written in the 1800s about a guy named Barron Trump who lives on Fifth Avenue?
And Don in the book, there's a character named Don who's called the Master of Masters, and he's the one who guides.
It's got to be
Barron's.
fake. I
So,
can't
so
believe
here's
that's
the
real.
other thing, though. We've been talking about how both Elon and Trump, how their names are both titles, and then how, you know, Elon the title is just Elon, the ruler of the Mars colony or whatever. In the same way, in these Ingersoll Lockwood books, the Don character, his name isn't Don, he's just a Don. And the Barron Trump character, he's not, his name isn't first name Barron, last name Trump. He is the Barron Trump. So they're, you know, in this idea of them playing roles is
The books remained obscure until 2017 when they received media attention for perceived similarities between the protagonist and President Donald Trump. The character's name is Barron Trump. Not a bit over, so we're going to wrap it up now. Do you guys want to shout out any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. Do you guys want to go first?
you want to go first, Don?
Like shout something out or give a final thought and then shout out whatever you want to shout out.
I guess my final thoughts are just to have discernment, right? Because a lot of people think that, a lot of Christians listening, you know, if you think that Satan's endgame is world domination and global control, remember that he's already the lowercase g god of this world. His endgame is about spiritual deception, and his goal is to bring as many people to hell with him as he possibly can. And in order to do that, he needs to infiltrate, he needs to imitate, he needs to come as a angel of light. So, be very cautious and have discernment. The Bible warns us not to put our trust in mankind. And the Bible warns us to be patient, enduring until the end, and be long-suffering, just as Christ was for us.
Legit. I'm going to try and condense everything. So first off, thank you for having me back.
Yeah, of course.
This was sick.
Yeah,
Second
thank
of
you, Tim.
all, shout out to these two guys. They post absolutely fascinating stuff on Twitter. I've learned a lot from both of them. Follow Drew Tang and Donnie Darkened on Twitter. Also, shout out Elon Musk. I want to give a thank you to Elon Musk for everything he's doing with X to enable free speech worldwide. It's pretty freaking insane how the global conversation is changing as a result of it. And, you know, throughout this podcast, there's been a lot of speculation about like Antichrist, false prophet, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how all of this is going to play out, but I do know that the most important truth that humanity can acknowledge right now is that Jesus Christ is Lord. And I think that that is the central question that civilization needs to answer. Were the claims of Jesus Christ actually true? Is what the Bible tells us actually true? These are questions that are worth answering, because if the claims of Christ in the Bible are actually true and humanity is proceeding into the end times and the majority of humanity is about to be deceived by the Antichrist, his false prophet, so on and so forth, people need to know. They need to know. And it's important to keep an eye on the Temple Mount. If we see the construction of a third temple, if we see an assassination attempt on a world leader and him miraculously resurrecting from the dead, if we see some sort of mark pushed that people need to buy and sell, like all of this is confirmation of biblical prophecy, in my opinion. And a lot of people want to answer these questions for themselves. And I get told by a lot of atheists, wow, you must have to suspend reason and logic in order to believe in your fairy tale. And that's actually not the case. The reality is that there's a tremendous amount of evidence for Christianity and the Bible being true. And I would recommend that anybody curious about it read this book, More Than a Carpenter. This is the book that brought me to Jesus. I also challenge Elon Musk. He's expressed curiosity about Jesus and salvation in Christ. I would challenge Elon Musk. Read this book, More Than a Carpenter. I want to know your thoughts after you read it. Was Jesus Christ actually the Messiah? The evidence indicates that he was more than a carpenter, not just a wise man. So those are my closing thoughts. Christ is Lord. He's also the answer to everything going wrong in civilization right now. And the last thing I would say, pray for our leaders. You know, pray if Trump is the Antichrist or Elon's the false prophet or whatever it is, pray for Elon, pray for Trump, pray that they might know Jesus and be saved in him, because I would like to see them saved. And I don't want the world to end in the next 15 years. I want to have some kids, man. Let's go.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. This has been a lot of fun. And I guess we won't know, but I guess we should all keep an eye out to see if Donald Trump ends up losing an eye or an arm or something like that. And then we can be worried. But in the meantime...
Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to Starbase, Texas. This is a city. It's actually legally a city that, thanks to the hard work of the SpaceX team, we built out of nothing, and is now a gigantic rocket manufacturing system. So, and for people out there who are curious to see it, we're actually on a public highway, so you can come and visit and drive down the road and see the epic hardware. So, I think this is the first time that a rocket development program has actually been on a public highway. So you can come and see the epic stuff. We're honored today to have the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and much of the senior leadership of the Pentagon here. It's an honor to have them visit. We just did a tour of the factory, and I think it really helps illustrate how manufacturing and manufacturing at scale is critical to the strength of America. So, and I'll tell you a little bit just about the purpose of SpaceX. It's like we want to make Star Trek real. Okay? We want to make Starfleet Academy real, so that it's not always science fiction, but one day the science fiction turns to science fact. And we have spaceships going through space, big spaceships, with people going to other planets, going to the moon, and ultimately going beyond our star system to other star systems, where we may meet aliens or discover long-dead alien civilizations. I don't know, but we want to go, and we want to see what's happening, and we want to have epic, futuristic spaceships with lots of people in them, traveling to places we've never been to before. Yeah, that's that's the goal. And that's what I think the public thinks of when they think of Space Force. So, on that note, I'd like to introduce the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth.
Thank you, Elon. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. How about this? Star Trek real.
Star Trek original. Yes.
Appreciate it. I love it. Well, what a tour. What an opportunity to be here at Starbase, Texas, with Elon and the SpaceX team. There's nothing like this in America. There's nothing like this in the world. And what you have built and what you will build here is a testament to the strength of American ingenuity and American invention. So I want to thank all of you, all the folks out here for having us today. Elon, thank you so much for hosting us, for what you built, for the vision you have for this company, the vision you have for our country, the vision you have for American innovation. I could not think of a more fitting venue to continue our Arsenal of Freedom tour and to outline today the future of technological innovation at the War Department. Those of you here at SpaceX will appreciate this, knowing that as World War II was ending, the Secretary of War and Secretary of the Navy wrote to the National Academy of Sciences and declared that scientific research was essential to our national security. To ensure continued preparedness, they wrote, the research scientists of the United States must be called upon to continue in peacetime some substantial portion, that of which they have made so effectively during the stress of the present war. The competitive time element in developing those weapons and tactics may be decisive in future conflicts. You see, those secretaries of war and Navy many decades ago recognized the importance that innovation and readiness holds for our national security. They knew what was at stake, the very freedoms of the country we hold dear. All across the United States today, extraordinary innovation is unlocking new possibilities for freedom, prosperity, and security. Now, the question before us is not whether or not the most powerful technologies of this century will reinforce free societies. Is it going to reinforce our free societies, or will that technology be shaped and twisted by malign regimes that seek to use those technologies for control and coercion? You see, over the past several months, I've talked at length about the challenges we face in transforming the War Department to address current and future missions, all in service of meeting the needs of the 21st century warfighter. I'd like to think we've already made dramatic progress in the Pentagon's culture by reviving the warrior ethos, and we're moving out quickly and transforming our acquisition ecosystem as well. But today is about how we supercharge innovation at the War Department for the era ahead. Innovation is happening at a pace we can't even foresee, and we need the entire enterprise, our enterprise, to embrace the urgency required for this moment. Since the end of the Cold War, the defense industrial base in our country has consolidated. This makes it difficult, if not impossible, for new creators of technical innovations to win business at our department. The result is a risk-averse culture that prevents us from providing our warfighters with the best resources that America has to offer. That ends today. Simply put, the United States must win the strategic competition for 21st century technological supremacy. Artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, quantum, hypersonics, and long-range drones. If you talk to Elon Musk long enough, he will tell you how important hypersonics and long-range drones are, and he's 100% correct. Space capabilities, directed energy, and biotechnology are the new areas of global competition. The challenge is that our legacy approach to technological development assumes that technology moves in a predictable, linear conveyor belt from lab to design to development to prototype to test and qualify to program of record, and can only be provided by a handful of companies that have consolidated dramatically. Now, while this system provided us with the weapons that won the Cold War, it is archaic and inconsistent with the novel threat environment that we face today. At its core, this old approach has the hubris to assume that you can easily predict the future, that you can foresee how an invention becomes a weapon in 8 easy steps, 3 decades from first discovery. Our system cannot keep treating innovation as a decades-long, one-way march that dramatically reduces who and what is able to run the gauntlet at our department to get the capability to the warfighter. Until this administration, the Trump administration, the department's process for fielding new capabilities had become just one more post-Cold War peace dividend relic that has not kept up with the times. Worse than that, we've done nothing but add layer upon layer of committees and councils that coordinated but never decided. We created endless projects with no accountable owners. We have high churn with little progress and few outputs. That sounds about like the exact opposite of SpaceX. We treated innovation as a box to check, not an outcome to deliver. In short, when it comes to our current threat environment, we are playing a dangerous game with potentially fatal consequences. We need innovation to come from anywhere and evolve with speed and purpose. You see, America's open scientific community is an advantage authoritarian regimes cannot replicate. They can read our scientific papers and copy our invention or distill our AI models, but they cannot replicate a culture like this one of open and distributed research. We need to be blunt here. We can no longer afford to wait a decade for our legacy prime contractors to deliver the next perfect system, only to find that it's delivered years behind schedule and cost 10 times what it should. Winning requires a new playbook. Elon wrote it with his algorithm. Question every requirement, delete the dumb ones, and accelerate like hell. That's why I want to make clear across the War Department and for our partners in the private sector that our Undersecretary of War for Research and Engineering, Emil Michael, right here in the front row, is the War Department's single chief technology officer, one CTO for the entire enterprise. Novel concept. As the sole CTO, Emil will set the technical direction, lead the innovation ecosystem that will welcome progress from anywhere it resides. And he'll tell me, face to face, every day, and frankly, whether we are gaining or losing the technology and innovation competition. He'll have the decision authority and will lead through rigorous evaluation with a focus on real, measurable outcomes. Now, Congress, and we have many members of Congress with us here today, will be our partner in this. By affirming the Undersecretary's role as the department's CTO, we're carrying out the core mission for R&E that Congress assigned in statute. The last defense bill expanded the CTO's authorities, including the power to direct military departments and other components to align around clear, innovative outcomes. We will use them to deliver those outcomes with speed and urgency. An empowered CTO will inject a disruptive mindset directly into our systems, directing the power of America's world-leading scientists and entrepreneurs, our cutting-edge labs, the tech ecosystem, and our capital markets to build what the warfighter needs, but to do so better, faster, and cheaper. And Emil is the right man to do it. You see, this isn't about military structure. This is about building an innovation pipeline that cuts through the overgrown bureaucratic underbrush and clears away the debris, Elon style, preferably with a chainsaw, and to do so at speed and urgency that meets the moment. As I've said repeatedly to every audience, the President of the United States and I have the backs of our warfighters who have to make split-second life and death decisions on the battlefield. Now, I want this audience to know that we also have the backs of innovators who share that very same urgency. American taxpayers, especially those parents whose sons and daughters have answered the call to serve, I swore in 10 more today, demand, and I demand, and we demand, that we arm our warfighters with overwhelming and lethal technology right now, not a decade from now. In modern warfare, the fastest innovator and iterator will be the winner. And no one can out-innovate an American entrepreneur who has been liberated from the constraints of stifling bureaucracy. That old era ends today. We are done running a peacetime science fair while our potential adversaries are running a wartime arms race. Right now, from garage startups to factory floors to boardrooms across our nation, the question of how to harness innovation coming out of America's AI ecosystem is front and center, and rightfully so, because it has the potential to disrupt and transform every area of human endeavor. The same is true in the Department of War. President Trump's AI executive order spells out our approach succinctly. It is the policy of the United States to sustain and enhance America's global AI dominance in defense of human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the War Department's mission. We must ensure that America's military AI dominance, so that no adversary can exploit that same technology to hold our national security interests or our citizens at risk. America first in every domain. Last month, I took the first step toward changing how the department does business with frontier AI technologies when we announced the rollout of Gen AI with our partners from Google. And I want to thank the Google team for leaning forward and making the investment to get their Gemini app to about 3 million users in the War Department. But today, we're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from xAI, which will go live later this month. So I want to thank you, Elon, and your incredible team for leaning forward with us on this as well. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. To further that, today at my direction, we're executing an AI acceleration strategy that will extend our lead in military AI established during President Trump's first term. This strategy will unleash experimentation, eliminate bureaucratic barriers, focus on investments, and demonstrate the execution approach needed to ensure we lead in military AI and that it grows more dominant into the future. In short, we will win this race by becoming an AI-first warfighting force across all domains, from the back offices of the Pentagon to the tactical edge on the front lines. The catalyst for this acceleration will be 7 pace-setting projects focused on mission threads across warfighting, intelligence, and enterprise missions, each with a single, accountable leader, aggressive timelines, and measurable outcomes that answer a familiar question, Elon. What have you accomplished this week? This is the execution standard for AI-first transformation. Each of the 7 pace-setting projects will use the following model. 1 owner who reports monthly on their progress. These projects will not be run in a vacuum, but will work directly with warfighters and transition partners to ensure we incorporate real-time operational feedback. We expect rapid iterations with failure accelerating the learning curve. These are not science projects. They are not governance boards. They are the execution standard for the entire department. We will not win the future by sprinkling AI onto old tactics like digital pixie dust. We will win by discovering entirely new ways of fighting. That's why we will run continuous experimentation campaigns, quarterly force-on-force combat labs with AI-coordinated swarms, agent-based cyber defense, and distributed command and control, pushing the envelope, learning from failure at every stop, which is exactly what this place does. You see, our department doesn't accept failure in the past, and so we never fail, which means we never learn. We're flipping that dynamic. Before talking about the new rules of the game, let me talk about a little bit more about our new team, because no game can be won without the right team. And we're proud to announce that Mr. Cameron Stanley has been appointed the new Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Officer, CDAO, of our War Department. Cam will be leading a new team, many of whom have foregone, thank you, or left lucrative careers at pioneer companies such as AWS, Databricks, Palantir, and Meta to join the fight. This team will not only provide a catalyst for change in this department, but will also act, we believe, as a magnet for other talented members of the tech community who want to join us in doing the mission-focused work to protect our great republic. So let's talk about the new rules. First, speed. Speed wins. Speed dominates. Our enterprise currently operates on staffing and committee cycles measured in months and years, and that's unacceptable. Military AI is going to be a race for the foreseeable future, where the risks to U.S. national security of moving too slowly outweigh the impacts of imperfect alignment. To do this, Cam and his team at CDAO will define AI deployment velocity metrics for all the pace-setting projects in the next 30 days and report at least monthly after that. These will become the new benchmarks for programs across the department. Second, bureaucratic blockers. If you work with Elon, you know he finds the blockers and you remove them. We will take a wartime approach to people and policies that block this progress. You want to block? You can work somewhere else. Barriers to data sharing, authority to operate, or ATOs, test and evaluation, and contracting are now treated as operational risks, not simply bureaucratic inconveniences. We are blowing up these barriers. That's why today, at my direction, I'm establishing a barrier removal SWAT team under R&E with the authority to waive non-statutory requirements and escalate to our great Deputy Secretary, Steve Feinberg, anything that slows down the acceleration of AI capabilities. Third, compute resource. We will invest heavily in expanding our access to AI compute from data centers to the tactical edge, and will tap into hundreds of billions of dollars in private capital flowing into American AI. President Trump's executive order has directed us to build data centers on military land and to work with the Department of Energy to ensure that we dramatically increase the number and breadth of resources needed to power this computing infrastructure. We will work together with our partners at Google and AWS and Oracle and SpaceX, Microsoft, and others on these initiatives. Fourth pillar, especially in this room, you'll understand it, is talent. We will use every hiring and pay authority available to us to bring the best American technical talent and reward effective AI transformations by our workforce. We're going to heavily leverage President Trump's Tech Force initiative to bring in the best and brightest from industry and academia. With people like Elon, David Sachs, Emil, Mike, and others from the entrepreneurial and business world already in government, we have shown that we can and that we must enlist the world's leading talent in this cause. Fifth, responsible AI. Today I want to clarify what responsible AI means at the Department of War. Gone are the days of equitable AI. and other DEI and social justice infusions that constrain and confuse our employment of this technology. Effective immediately, responsible AI at the War Department means objectively truthful AI capabilities employed securely and within the laws governing the activities of the department. We will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars. We will judge AI models on this standard alone. Factually accurate, mission relevant, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. Department of War AI will not be woke. It will work for us. We're building war-ready weapons and systems, not chatbots for an Ivy League faculty lounge. Sixth, and finally, data. AI is only as good as the data that feeds it. And the U.S. military has an asymmetric data advantage from 2 decades of military and intelligence operations that no other military in the world can replicate. But right now, we are underutilizing this advantage. Too much of our data is stranded. It's stuck in bespoke program databases, locked behind Title 10 or Title 50 stovepipes, invisible to operators, engineers, and industry who can help us exploit it with winning speed and scale. And that's why today, at my direction, CDAO will exercise its full authority to enforce the DOW data decrees and make all appropriate data available across federated IT systems for AI exploitation, including mission systems across every service and component. Each service secretary and component head will submit catalogs of their current data assets to the CDAO within 30 days. Denials of data access requests will be reported to the CTO within 7 days, and they better have a good justification. Today, I'm also directing the Undersecretary for Intelligence and Security, Brad Hansel, to ensure appropriate data from across our intelligence enterprise receives the same treatment and can be fully leveraged to warfighting capability development and operational advantage. AI is only as good as the data that it receives, and we're going to make sure that it's there. Persistent barriers to data access will be escalated to the Deputy Secretary of War for resolution, with authority to reassign or terminate personnel or withhold funding from non-compliant activities within the statutory limits. We'll be clear here. As I said, data hoarding is now a national security risk, and we will treat it that way. AI is an important part of the future, but here's another truth that we've ignored for too long. Beyond AI, we've treated every other kind of innovation as if they're the same. As you know, they're not. We need to break down unnecessary barriers to rapid technological development, adoption, and transition. Some of you will remember this. A generation ago, one of my predecessors, in a dinner speech to industry now infamously known as the Last Supper, advocated for the consolidation of our defense industrial base. This consolidation created a closed innovation ecosystem dominated by just a handful of prime contractors. The results have been characterized by soaring costs, sluggish delivery, and stagnant innovation. That's what President Trump's recent executive order on the defense industrial base and defense companies seeks to address. It makes crystal clear that the priority of the legacy prime contractors must be our nation's national security, not the next earnings call. That means less focused on stock buybacks and more investment on the men and women on the factory floor. It means less stockholder dividends and more investment in infrastructure, plant, and equipment. Today, that old era comes to an end. The Department of War is reopening to the disruptive energy and agile creativity of our nation's tech startups, funded by our world's leading capital markets. I'm directing my Chief Technology Officer to lead this charge, and his wingman, as always in this effort, Undersecretary for Acquisitions and Sustainment, Mike Duffy. For too long, we organized our ecosystem around stages and silos, labs over here, so-called rapid units over there, commercial outreach in a different building or on another coast altogether, and warfare fighters somewhere at the end, almost an afterthought. The result is duplication, drift, and confusion. And like the acquisition process we are already fixing, the creation of organizations to work around the problems in the innovation ecosystem rather than taking the bold steps needed to transform it. We created an whole ecosystem to get around the actual system. No more. Every dollar of innovation, whether it may be in a lab or a startup or a classified shop, must exist to deliver one of three things: game-changing technology, scalable products, or new ways of fighting. If it's not doing one of those three things at speed, it will be realigned or it will go away. And that's why I'm entrusting Emil as the CTO to ensure that this directive across the department is rapidly carried out. Emil, you're going to be busy. Again, what we're talking about today is a transformation in the way we think about innovation. In requirements reform led by Mike Duffy, we killed an old model, a sclerotic model, and rewired the department so that problems, money, and experimentation live in one system. In acquisitions reform, we killed the defense acquisition system and created accountable portfolio acquisition executives, making speed to delivery our organizing principle. We're going to do the same for technological innovation. That's why today, at my direction, we are ending the alphabet soup of councils that meet and brief and write memos and schedule meetings, but never decide and rarely, if ever, accelerate outcomes. Effective immediately, the Defense Innovation Steering Group, the Defense Innovation Working Group, and the CTO Council are disestablished and abolished. In their place, the CTO will convene a CTO action group to assist him in making decisions, clearing bureaucratic blockers, holding leaders accountable, and most importantly, quickly delivering new technologies to our warfighters. Every organization in this ecosystem must earn its place by delivering warfighting advantages faster than our adversaries can adapt. No sacred cows, no exceptions. To back up the CTO, today at my direction, we are realigning two pillars of the War Department's innovation ecosystem. First, the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU. Since its establishment 10 years ago, DIU has lived through shifting reporting structures and uneven administrative support, doing great things, but at times its portfolio overlapped with other parts of the department. Effective today, DIU is designated a Department of War field activity, providing exceptional tech scouting, rapid contracting, and other common services to the department, executed at commercial tempo. The CTO will provide support to DIU for administrative and resource matters and ensure that the unit's efforts fit into the department's innovation priorities. The director of DIU will also continue to report directly to me as a principal staff assistant and carry out its statutory duties. And I'm appointing Mr. Owen West, executor of my Drone Dominance Initiative, as the director of DIU starting in March, when the FY27 budget cycle firms up. As a Marine with lots of combat experience, Owen will bring a warfighter's mentality to DIU's core mission of transitioning technology to our troops. Owen also has the private capital experience needed to ensure DIU remains working hand in glove with the venture and investor communities and continues to on-ramp new entrants into the War Department. Owen led DOGE at DOW, the most effective DOGE effort across the administration, saving tens of billions of dollars for our department, and now he will lead DIU. Our world-leading defense tech startups have attracted billions of dollars in capital. They're reshaping warfare through the proliferation of high-tech, low-cost technologies. DIU's mission is to accelerate the adoption of this commercial technology to help convert entrepreneurial products into tangible combat power. Second, The Strategic Capabilities Office, or SCO, is also being designated a Department of War field activity aligned under the CTO. SCO will maintain focus on its core mission of identifying and prototyping disruptive applications of new systems, the unconventional uses of existing systems, and near-term technologies to create strategic effects. SCO will continue to maintain its statutory direct reporting relationship to the Deputy Secretary, but will be operationally realigned under the CTO to eliminate duplication and ensure the relentless daily focus on delivering near and medium-term capabilities to our warfighters. Relentless urgency and focus is our focus. Today's defense innovation ecosystem is too fragmented, resulted in insufficient technology transition to the warfighter. We address some of this in the transformation we are making in the acquisitions ecosystem, but it also needs to enter the innovation ecosystem. For too long, and I know a lot of you have experienced this, and others we met with in Los Angeles recently, the experience of founders and entrepreneurs has been running endless laps around the Pentagon, looking for the right office, the right program, and the right motivated sponsor. And too often, new entrants are ultimately stymied by the bureaucracy. We hear it time and time again. They don't know where to go, and then when they go to that place, it's not the right place to go. Then they go somewhere else that didn't want them in the first place, and the lap continues. For example, SpaceX and Palantir had to sue the Department of War just to get a shot at competing for department contracts. The bottom line is that new entrants need both a shot on goal, but also faster yeses and faster nos from the department, rather than being strung along with a never-ending stream of rudderless maybes. At the Secretary of War level, we will replace the existing maze into two clear channels. The Mission Engineering and Integration Activity, MIA, will tell industry what problems we're trying to solve, and DIU will help program offices adopt what industry has already built. This will help get to faster yeses or faster nos. Clear guidance, clear guide rails, clear demand signal, which is what industry and capital expects. Now, this isn't just an Office of the Secretary reform. The services need to transform their innovation ecosystems as well: the Army, the Navy, the Space Force, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force. That's why today, at my direction, our military services will take the following actions. Within 90 days, the secretaries of the military departments will brief the CTO on service innovation plans, how they will consolidate, streamline, and refocus their labs, research expertise, experimental units, and rapid capability offices around 3 innovation outcomes. Our 60-plus labs are a national asset, but it's past time they were organized to deliver and not just to discover. And beginning with the fiscal year 2028 budget, every portfolio acquisition executive will fund an innovation insertion increment, III, dedicated money for the last mile, integration test, and rapid insertion of validation solutions into fielded systems. Innovation cannot be centralized, and it should not be. In fact, hope it's okay I name them, but just this past weekend I received an email, a proposal from an Army captain named Drennan Green, who I've known for a while. He had a detailed plan about how he and his unit wants to deploy AI. Innovation can and should come from anywhere and anyone, wherever those best ideas reside. We're going to bring that good captain in and hear from him. How can we apply those tools in his unit and other units, bottom up, not just top down? The military services and program offices own the last mile. And to that end, I'm directing the services to establish that III, innovation insertion increment, within the budgets of all program portfolios. This will ensure that they have funds set aside to quickly integrate innovations during weapons system development. This will be a tool to free new, innovative, cutting-edge weapons and improvements from the constraints of yearly budget cycles. Here you iterate in terms of hours and days, maybe weeks. In Washington, we talk in terms of months, years, and oftentimes multi-years. It's too slow. The CTO ecosystem will give them the supply. Services are contributors to this ecosystem, not bystanders. They must deliver outcomes, and they must deliver overmatch. And speaking of budgets and budget cycles, you may have seen President Trump's truth post of a few days ago. He's proposing a $1.5 trillion budget for the War Department in fiscal year 27. This is by far the most ever in our history, a historic and generational investment in American security. We will not squander this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rebuild our military. Think of what this means as our efforts to transform the department come fully online. You add resources and you streamline process, speed to deliver those capabilities to the warfighter, an invitation to new entrants into the defense industry, which we need so badly, and an embrace of AI and other cutting-edge defense tech. All of this will make our forces more agile, more lethal, and more ready to deter and, if necessary, win a future fight. This is what President Trump demands, and this is what we will deliver. This feeds into a next area we need to fix. You see, reorganizing and a new attitude are not enough to truly unlock innovation for the warfighter. Our department needs to capitalize on a key advantage America has over her adversaries: the broadest and deepest capital markets and the best entrepreneurial talent in the world. You know this, capital is the lifeblood of American innovation. And therefore, to be successful, we need to embrace the role in our department of private capital, which we have not done for far too long. We need to be a better partner for private capital, so we can help accelerate capital formation in key areas and lower the risk for the department. Private capital is already helping to solve a major problem that President Trump has directed us to confront and solve across this administration: ending our reliance on competitors for access to rare earth and critical minerals. The Office of Strategic Capital, or OSC, under the leadership of David Lorch, is spearheading those efforts and delivering as we speak. In the past 5 months alone, the OSC team has deployed over $4.5 billion in capital commitments as part of closing 6 critical mineral deals, all of which will help free the United States from market manipulation. Crucially, OSC's strategy relies on crowding in private sector investors, from the VC community to our country's largest financial institutions. The 6 OSC deals to date include nearly $5 billion from our private capital partners. OSC has closed most of those deals in less than 30 days, which is Trump time for complex transactions. That may seem maybe slow for SpaceX. In Washington, that's as fast as it gets. I mean, that is warp speed in Washington. All of our investments serve one purpose: deliver faster for the warfighter. Now, some will want to cynically posit, is this just another innovation reorganization? Another set of strategies that brief well but don't actualize? No. This is the third leg of a single war plan. In fundamentally transforming our acquisition ecosystem, we killed JSIDs that focused only on process and turned the JROC into a body that ranks real-world joint operational problems, not paper requirements. We created the MIA to run experimentation campaigns to solve these problems. We killed the old defense acquisition system and created the warfighting acquisition system to focus on speed, risk, and accountability. With the AI strategy and innovation ecosystem transformation that we have just outlined, we are welding that third piece into place. The CTO, DIU, SCO, DARPA, CDAO, and OSC are no longer a loose federation. They are the Office of the Secretary of War's Innovation Operating System. DARPA delivers game-changing technology innovation and strategic surprise. DIU delivers scalable products. SCO delivers new ways of fighting. And CDAO and OSC provide the data, test, and capital to move at wartime speed. As of today, they are an ecosystem, an arsenal of ideas and action for the arsenal of freedom, wired directly into requirements, portfolios, and production. Game-changing technology, scalable products, new ways of fighting, all three moving at wartime speed. Problems drive experimentation, experimentation flows to prototypes, prototypes flow to our program executives flow these to production, production flows to the warfighter, and the cycle never stops, always iterating. One system, one purpose, speed to the fight. We are preparing to win the future because we know, and you know, for the free world, for the West, the stakes could not be higher. Before this administration, our adversaries may have thought they finally broke American power. They're wrong. They do not have our entrepreneurs. They do not have our capital markets. They do not have our combat-proven operational data from 2 decades of military and intelligence operations. They do not have our hard-won classified technologies. They do not have the ingenuity and tenacity of American warfighters who refuse to lose. They don't have a military that can go 37 hours to downtown Tehran or downtown Caracas without being seen in the process. You see, but none of that matters, however, if we suffocate those advantages under a stifling bureaucracy. That's why we're unifying the innovation ecosystem, making this an AI-first department, and holding every lab, every program accountable, all while pushing every officer to deliver warfighting advantages faster than others can adapt. We will not stop. We will not back down. We will forge the new arsenal of freedom with our partners in industry and the private sector. We believe the future will be shaped by those who lead in technology and innovation. We don't believe, we know. Those who fervently believe in freedom and the Western tradition, like we do, must be those leaders. If not us, if not America, if not the West, then who? And if not now, it will be too late to maintain that advantage. This is not reform for the sake of reform. It never has been. This is about whether our warriors fight with yesterday's tools or they fight overmatching our adversaries using tomorrow's technologies. We know the threat. We know the opportunity. We know what must be done. We share the urgency. Now we will do it, and we must do it at wartime speed. Thank you.